Hey there, fellow fish keepers. Mike here with the Fish Tank Barn. So we are going to talk today about some pretty awesome cichlids we have here in the Fish Tank Barn. So these are the Discus and the South American cichlids we have here. We're going to go through about 5 tanks. Actually, 2 of them are quite new. Picked them up at the Big Fish Deal back last weekend. Some of them are the more underrated fish here in the Fish Tank Barn. Definitely have some cool behaviors and some cool personalities that really make them shine here in the barn. So with that being said, let's go ahead here and get on with the tour and take a look at some of these really awesome fish. All right, let's go ahead and kick the tour off with one of my favorite tanks and probably one of the most viewed tanks on my channel. This is the 75-gallon Discus Tank. This tank is home to 6 different discus. Also residing in this tank is a group of 15 cardinal tetras. I've had these discus now for about 3 years. Originally got these discus as sort of a gift to my children. I was trying to get them into the hobby at the time and let them look at the Drs. Foster's and Smith manual and basically told them to pick what they would like. They picked discus, so after some research, I went ahead and put them in a 150-gallon plywood tank that I had at one time. And they've kind of moved tanks throughout the years. The current aquascape on this tank consists of jungle val, some dragonstone, and some sand that I believe I bought from Home Depot at one point in time. It's the all-purpose sand. Seems to do a pretty good job for me. Water parameters for this tank hover around 8. That's just our normal water parameters here in Michigan. I don't chase the water parameters on this tank or any of the other tanks here in the barn. Temperature-wise, this tank does run between 80 to 82 degrees. Something I'm considering changing is upping the temperature in this tank to maybe about 84. I think they'll be a little bit happier at that temperature. So let's go ahead now and take a look under the hood and see how this tank operates. So let's go ahead and pop open the hood here. What I used for basically the front of these tanks is toolbox liner. I usually have bought this at Lowe's in the past. You can get it on Amazon too. It's just stapled up to the top. So let's go ahead and pop this open. And you can see here, this is the AquaNeat Light. I do use quite a few of these here in the Fish Tank Barn. They're cost effective. Generally run pretty well as long as you don't get them wet. If you do get them wet, tend not to work anymore. So let's go ahead here, and if you see the pipe that's sitting right back there, that is the return from the sump. This right here is from the auto water change system, so this does get a pretty good auto water change from our auto water change system, which runs a couple times a day for about 2 to 3 minutes. So if you look down here, this is the Inkbird heater controller. I use this to control the temperature. Make sure it doesn't get too cold in here because they would fall apart if you got them too cold. This is a sump that I picked up many moons ago. Pretty straightforward. There's your cheap Amazon return pump. So if you look over here, there's some filter floss in here. 3 chambers. I should put some plants in here. Maybe some like guppy grass can help with filtration a little bit. I'm going to conclude our conversation here on the Discus Tank. Basically saying that these have been some of the more rewarding fish I've kept here in the Fish Tank Barn, growing them up from basically 50-cent piece size to what they are today. So we're now heading over to the 245-gallon South American tank. Quite a few different species in here. The species in here are some Geophagus altifrons. We also have some Geophagus hecali that I did get from Dan's Fish. So we do have some wild-caught red-shouldered Severums from the Rio de Janeiro River in Peru. So got those from Pleco Paradise back in 2018. There is a convict cichlid in here as well. There is a Therichthys malcupinus group as well in here. They are juveniles. So we are looking forward to seeing those guys grow up in here as well. All right, one thing kind of interesting about this tank, the Geophagus altifrons, were the fish that I actually took to the aquatic experience back last year. They did do pretty decently in the show for my first time showing fish. Don't know if I'll show fish again, but I do really enjoy those Geophagus altifrons quite a bit. Looking forward to the hecali growing up as well, and seeing what happens with the red-shouldered Severums. From a operational standpoint, this tank is very similar to the Discus Tank. Temperature obviously is a little bit lower, running at probably about 76, 78 degrees. We still do use the AquaNeat lights on that tank. We are working to put a sump together for that tank, just don't have it complete yet. So once we do, we will probably get back to this and I'll probably show it to you at some point, either during a live stream or another video. For the time being, we are running it with a hang-on bath, which seems to be doing fine in terms of keeping this tank clean. At some point, maybe we will find some more driftwood and kind of play around with the aquascape a little bit. But other than that, everything's pretty standard here for what we do run in a lot of the tanks here in the barn. All right, we're now moving on to the tank with my breeding pair of angelfish in it. This tank is a 37-gallon bow front that I've had for a couple years now. Picked up the breeding pair of angels last summer. They were actually spawning in the local fish store, so I picked them up as they were spawning on a slate. These guys do spawn for me about every couple weeks or so. They don't always spawn where I would like them to. They aren't parent raising very well, so I do need to get some fry going from these. I did make one attempt, but I haven't had a chance to make another one since then. So definitely something we'll get rolling here once the summer hits and get some baby angelfish going here in the barn. This tank's just got sponge filter in it. Gets the auto water change like all the rest of the tanks here in the barn. I do have some pieces of PVC pipe in here as well as the slate. Most of the time they either spawn on the side of the tank or on the slate. Can't get them to spawn on the PVC, but they're going to do what they want to do. So definitely a fish I'm looking forward to getting some fry from in the near future here. We now come to some of the newest fish in the fish tank barn. These are the Latacara curviceps, also known as the dwarf flag cichlid. I did pick these up last weekend at the Big Fish Deal auction. You can actually see that auction on Geophagus channel. I'll go ahead and put a card up here to that video and also put it in the description. So definitely check that out. That auction was a lot of fun. I do have them right now in a 29-gallon tank. So there are 3 of them here, as you can see on the screen. They are just living here with a bunch of hornwort, keeping them in the normal temperature range. There's nothing special temperature-wise for them. They are a substrate spawner, so they will lay eggs on the substrate. From the research I've done, these guys are a pretty peaceful cichlid. I am going to keep them by themselves, though. Not going to put them with any aggressive tank mates. That was the one thing that I've kind of found in my research, is you really want to keep these guys away from the aggressive tank mates. They've been eating fine. They've been taking plenty of different foods. So definitely a fish that I'm pretty excited about. It's definitely a different type of species than what I've worked with here in the past in the fish tank barn. So definitely one that I'm pretty excited about. All right, we now come to my 20-gallon lung. This is the home to my Apistogramma cockatoides. Not sure which variety it is. It might be double red maybe. Have both a male and a female in here. I've not really seen any spawning activity in here, but I do have caves for them if they do choose to spawn. Other than that, this tank is just filtered with a sponge filter. Some plants, basically has some guppy grass in it. Gets the same water change, same light system as everything else. So this is one, we'll see how this breeding project goes. Might have to do some different things due to the hard water here in Michigan, maybe supplement with some RO or something. But we'll see how this one goes. All right, this next species is still in quarantine in a 20-gallon tank here. This fish is the Mesoheroes atromaculatus. I did pick this fish up at the Big Fish Deal auction. Unfortunately, I did lose one of the fish, so I only have one left. That was kind of unfortunate since these fish are pretty hard to come by. This fish is native to the Rio Atrato and San Juan basins in western Colombia. It is pretty hard to come by, so I was a little bummed out that I did lose that fish. After the fish is done with its quarantine, I think I'm going to put it in the 245-gallon with the other South American cichlids. I think that would be a good place for it. Definitely interested to see how this colors up. It is kind of like a red devil, but from what I've read, it's not as aggressive. So definitely one that I'm interested to see how it works out with the other fish here in the barn. Well there, fellow fish keepers, do hope you enjoyed taking the tour here, taking a look at the discus and the South American cichlids. They are definitely some of my favorite fish here in the barn. So some of my real favorites are the Geophagus altifrons with their personality, their ability, kind of their behavior with digging in the sand. Their peaceful behavior, but can hold their own if needed. Also really enjoy the subtle color of the Severums with the red shoulder, with the kind of grayish brown body. Discus are obviously showstoppers with all the colors and all the patterns, etc. Definitely interested to keep learning and growing, working with the new fish here that we picked up at the Big Fish Deal with the Mesoheroes, atromaculatus, and the Latacara Curviceps. Curviceps definitely do have my attention. They are pretty cool little fish. Definitely come with quite a bit of personality. So that being said, go ahead and check out some of the videos that come here at the end. If you like what you see, hit that subscription button, notification bells, and all the happy YouTube stuff they ask you to do. That being said, stay fishy, keep on breeding, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.